Get ready, because what you are about to hear is not a message for the curious, not for the distracted, not for the half awake. This is a moment of alignment. This is a summons. This is a call that reaches past your ears and knocks directly on your spirit. If you feel something stirring right now, if your heart is suddenly alert, if your mind feels like it has been shaken awake, it is because God is speaking to you about a shift that is closer than you think. You did not arrive at this moment by accident. You were drawn here because something is about to break open, and God does nothing without first preparing the one who will receive it. There are seasons in life when effort feels heavy and progress feels slow, when you sow and wonder if the ground has forgotten your seed. But hear this with clarity and conviction: delay is not denial, and silence is not absence. God often works deepest when it seems nothing is happening. The greatest turnarounds are never announced with noise. They are prepared in quiet places, in unseen rooms, in moments when you thought nothing was changing, but everything was being rearranged. What you call waiting, God calls positioning. What you call pressure, God calls preparation. What you call exhaustion, God calls a final stretch before release. You are not standing on ordinary ground. You are standing on the edge of a divine acceleration. There are moments when God compresses years into days, when one decision outweighs a decade of struggle, when a single shift unlocks what effort alone could never produce. This is one of those moments. But acceleration requires readiness. Increase requires capacity. Overflow demands alignment. God does not pour abundance into a mindset trained for scarcity. God does not release elevation into a heart still chained to fear. That is why this message is not gentle. It is not soft. It is not meant to soothe you into comfort. It is meant to wake you up. The jackpot you are about to encounter is not a game of chance. It is not random. It is not luck. It is the convergence of obedience, endurance, and divine timing. Many people misunderstand blessing because they imagine it arrives without responsibility. But when God releases increase, He also releases accountability. When God expands your reach, He also expands your influence. When God opens doors, He watches carefully to see who walks through with humility and who walks through with pride. The jackpot God prepares is never just for personal pleasure. It is a tool. It is an assignment. It is a trust. You have survived things that should have destroyed you. You have carried weight that was never meant to crush you, but to strengthen you. You have walked through seasons where your prayers felt unanswered and your tears felt unnoticed. But God saw every moment. God counted every tear. God measured every act of faith you showed when no one was watching. And now the season is shifting. Not because you are perfect, but because you are positioned. Not because you never doubted, but because you never quit. There is a reason the pressure intensified recently. There is a reason opposition increased. There is a reason distractions multiplied. When breakthrough is near, resistance becomes loud. When God is about to elevate you, confusion tries to cloud your vision. When your capacity is about to expand, fear tries to shrink your expectations. But understand this, fear always shows up when it knows it is about to lose control. Doubt always speaks loudest right before it is silenced by results. Opposition always flares when it senses its time is limited. God is not intimidated by your circumstances. God is not overwhelmed by your obstacles. God does not need perfect conditions to perform perfect work. He specializes in creating abundance where logic predicts lack. He thrives in impossible spaces. He moves most powerfully when human strength runs out. That is why your story will not make sense to everyone. That is why your rise will confuse those who watched you struggle. That is why your breakthrough will silence voices that doubted you. God delights in revealing His power through unexpected vessels. But listen carefully. Preparation is not optional. You cannot carry tomorrow's blessing with yesterday's mindset. You cannot step into abundance while clinging to fear. You cannot receive increase while still doubting your worth. God is not only changing what is around you, He is reshaping what is within you. He is stretching your vision, strengthening your spirit, sharpening your discernment. He is teaching you to hear His voice above the noise, to trust His timing above your urgency, to obey even when obedience feels uncomfortable. The jackpot God releases is not always financial, though provision is included. It is clarity where confusion once ruled. It is authority where insecurity once whispered. It is peace that remains steady even when circumstances fluctuate. It is favor that opens doors you could never force open. It is wisdom that positions you ahead of situations before they even arise. It is alignment that causes things to fall into place without struggle. And when provision comes, it comes with purpose attached. Some of you have been asking God for more, but God has been asking you for deeper trust, deeper obedience, deeper surrender. Not because He wants to take from you, but because He wants to prepare you. Shallow roots cannot support tall growth. Weak foundations cannot hold great structures. God builds from the inside out. He strengthens your character before He expands your platform. He refines your motives before He increases your influence. He secures your heart before He multiplies your resources. You are entering a season where small thinking will no longer fit, where limited expectations will feel uncomfortable, where playing safe will feel restrictive. God is enlarging your capacity, and expansion always feels unfamiliar at first. Growth stretches, elevation challenges, increase requires courage. But you were not designed to remain where you are. You were designed to rise, to lead, to influence, to impact. Not for your own glory, but to reflect the goodness and order of God through your life. Do not underestimate what God can do through one aligned decision. Do not dismiss the power of consistency. Do not overlook the significance of obedience in ordinary moments. God often hides extraordinary outcomes inside simple instructions. He often ties major breakthroughs to small acts of faith. The seed does not look like the harvest, but it carries everything needed to become it. And you have been planting seeds even when you felt unseen. There are people connected to your breakthrough who do not even know your name yet. There are opportunities prepared for you that will meet you at the exact moment your readiness matches their arrival. There are conversations that will change the trajectory of your life that are already scheduled by divine timing. Nothing is late, nothing is early, everything is aligning. But alignment requires awareness. You must stay spiritually alert. You must guard your focus. You must protect your peace. Do not let frustration rush you into decisions that sabotage preparation. Do not let impatience pull you out of position. Do not let comparison poison your gratitude. God's path for you is specific. Your timing is unique. Your assignment is tailored. What looks like delay is often precision. What feels like restriction is often protection. God removes distractions not to deprive you, but to preserve you for what is coming. You are stronger than you think, wiser than you feel, and closer than you realize. The evidence is not behind you, it is ahead of you. The breakthrough is not a distant hope, it is an approaching reality. But you must stay aligned, you must stay grounded, you must stay obedient. The jackpot does not belong to the reckless, it belongs to the ready. God is watching how you respond under pressure. He is observing how you treat others when no reward is visible. He is listening to the words you speak over your own life. Your language matters, your expectations matter, your consistency matters. You cannot speak defeat and expect victory. You cannot nurture fear and expect confidence. You cannot dwell in scarcity and step into abundance. What you believe shapes what you receive. This is a season to elevate your thinking, to sharpen your discipline, to strengthen your faith. Not passive faith, but active trust. Not empty words, but aligned action. Faith is not pretending challenges do not exist. Faith is knowing they do not have authority over you. Faith is standing steady when circumstances shake. Faith is choosing obedience even when outcomes are uncertain. Faith is trusting God's character more than your comfort. There will be moments when the weight feels heavy right before it lifts. There will be days when nothing seems to move right before everything shifts. There will be nights when doubt whispers loudly right before clarity arrives. Do not quit in those moments. Do not retreat. Do not lower your expectations. The breakthrough often tests your endurance before it reveals its reward. God is not experimenting with your life. He is intentional. He is precise. He is faithful. He does not start what He does not plan to finish. He does not prepare what He does not plan to release. He does not awaken hunger without providing nourishment. If you feel restless, it is because you are outgrowing your current level. If you feel stretched, it is because expansion is underway. If you feel challenged, it is because you are being upgraded. The jackpot is not just about what you receive, but who you become in the process. It is the confidence that comes from knowing God is your source. It is the freedom that comes from releasing control. It is the peace that remains regardless of external conditions. It is the authority that flows from alignment. When you are aligned, provision follows. When you are aligned, favor finds you. When you are aligned, doors open without force. Stay humble, stay grateful, stay obedient. Gratitude keeps you grounded. Humility keeps you teachable. Obedience keeps you aligned. These are not optional traits, they are protective barriers. Pride disconnects, gratitude attracts, obedience positions. God resists arrogance not because He is harsh, but because arrogance cannot carry increase without collapse. You are about to see results that justify the waiting. You are about to experience clarity that explains the confusion. You are about to receive confirmation that proves the struggle was not wasted. But do not rush the reveal. Let God complete the work fully. Partial breakthroughs create premature confidence. Complete preparation sustains lasting impact. This moment requires focus. It requires discipline. It requires courage. Courage to release what no longer fits. Courage to step into unfamiliar responsibility. Courage to trust God beyond what you can measure or control. Comfort zones shrink destiny. Obedience expands it. You are not alone in this journey. God goes before you. He prepares the path. He aligns the timing. He strengthens your resolve. When you feel weak, His strength sustains you. When you feel uncertain, His guidance steadies you. When you feel overwhelmed, His presence calms you. You are supported in ways you cannot see yet. Guard your thoughts. They shape your direction. Guard your words. They shape your reality. Guard your associations. They shape your perspective. Everything around you either pulls you toward alignment or distraction. Choose wisely. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into your next season. Some connections were for survival, not for elevation. The jackpot is approaching, and readiness is the key. Not readiness defined by perfection, but by alignment. Not readiness defined by absence of fear, but by refusal to be ruled by it. Not readiness defined by external approval, but by internal conviction. When your spirit aligns with God's direction, movement accelerates. Do not shrink back now. Do not settle now. Do not doubt now. You are closer than you think. The pressure you feel is not punishment, it is preparation. The resistance you encounter is not rejection, it is confirmation. The stretching you experience is not harm, it is expansion. Stay alert, stay faithful, stay obedient. The season is shifting, the alignment is locking in. The doors are preparing to open. The wait is about to lift. The clarity is about to arrive. The provision is about to flow. And when it does, you will understand why every delay was necessary, why every test was precise, why every step mattered, why every tear carried purpose, why every moment of endurance strengthened your capacity, why God waited until you were ready to carry what He was always preparing to release. There are moments when God asks you to release control, not because He wants to confuse you, but because control limits what trust can unlock. Control is comfortable, but it is also restrictive. Trust feels risky, but it creates space for divine movement. Many people pray for expansion while gripping tightly to familiar patterns, familiar fears, familiar limits. But God does not expand what you refuse to release. He multiplies what you place fully in His hands. When you loosen your grip, you strengthen your faith. When you surrender direction, you gain alignment. When you stop forcing outcomes, you begin to witness acceleration. Understand this clearly. God does not respond to desperation the way He responds to alignment. Desperation rushes, but alignment waits. Desperation panics, but alignment listens. Desperation reacts, but alignment discerns. When you are aligned, you move with clarity, even when the path is not fully visible. You take steps without needing the entire map. You obey without needing full explanation. That is not weakness, that is maturity. That is confidence, rooted not in circumstance, but in trust. Some of you are standing at the edge of something unfamiliar. And unfamiliar feels like danger when you are used to predictability. But growth always introduces unfamiliar territory. Expansion always disrupts comfort. God does not call you forward to harm you. He calls you forward to reveal more of who He is through you. The unknown is not empty. It is filled with preparation you have not yet seen. It is filled with answers that will only reveal themselves once you move. God is shaping your perception because perception determines response. Two people can face the same situation and walk away with completely different outcomes based on how they see it. Fear sees risk, faith sees opportunity, doubt sees delay, trust sees timing, complaint sees lack, gratitude sees provision in seed form. What you focus on will grow. What you nurture will strengthen. What you repeatedly speak will settle into belief. There is a discipline to expectation. Expectation is not wishful thinking, it is a posture. It is the way you prepare your mind and heart for what you believe God will do. You prepare differently when you expect arrival. You act differently when you expect increase. You speak differently when you expect breakthrough. Expectation aligns your behavior with your belief. Low expectation sabotages preparation. High expectation sharpens it. God does not need you to understand every detail. He needs you to stay connected. Connection produces direction. Distance produces confusion. When you remain connected to God through trust and obedience, clarity arrives step by step. He reveals what you need when you need it. Not earlier, not later. His timing protects you from information that could overwhelm you and prepares you for responsibility you are ready to carry. This season is demanding emotional maturity. Emotional maturity does not mean you do not feel pressure. It means pressure does not dictate your decisions. It means you can feel fear without being controlled by it. You can acknowledge uncertainty without surrendering to it. You can experience delay without interpreting it as failure. Mature faith does not deny reality. It interprets reality through trust in God's authority. Some blessings are delayed because the weight of them would crush an unprepared heart. Not every increase is light. Some forms of favor attract attention, expectation, responsibility, and pressure. God prepares you to carry not just the blessing, but the visibility that comes with it. He prepares you to remain grounded when praise increases and criticism intensifies. He prepares you to remain focused when distractions multiply. He prepares you to remain faithful when temptation increases. You are being trained to handle overflow without losing focus, to walk in abundance without losing humility, to receive recognition without losing obedience, to manage influence without losing compassion. These things do not happen accidentally. They are cultivated intentionally through seasons that feel slow, silent, and demanding, but every demanding season is shaping strength you will soon need. God does not waste pain. He repurposes it. He transforms lessons learned in struggle into wisdom that protects you in success. He converts disappointment into discernment. He reshapes frustration into patience. Nothing you endured was pointless. It was preparation disguised as pressure. It was training hidden inside testing. It was strengthening wrapped in resistance. Be careful not to measure your progress by speed alone. Some of the most powerful transformations happen quietly. Roots grow in silence. Foundations are built underground. Stability develops before visibility. God is not interested in rushing you into something that will not last. He's invested in building something sustainable through you, something that endures, something that multiplies without collapsing. The jackpot God prepares is not fragile. It is not temporary. It is not unstable. It is supported by structure, wisdom, and discipline developed over time. That is why patience is not punishment, it is protection. Waiting refines motive. It clarifies intention. It exposes areas that needs strengthening. It filters out distractions that would derail you later. You are learning to listen beyond noise, to recognize direction beyond emotion, to move based on conviction, not impulse. These skills are essential at higher levels of responsibility. God elevates those who can hear clearly under pressure. He trusts those who remain steady when emotions fluctuate. He expands those who can carry weight without becoming bitter. Do not confuse quiet seasons with empty seasons. Quiet often means God is working in areas you cannot access yet. Silence does not mean inactivity. It means precision. God speaks most clearly when distractions are minimized. If He has removed certain voices, certain comforts, certain familiar supports, it is not abandonment. It is focus. He is narrowing your environment to sharpen your discernment. There is a difference between movement and progress. You can be busy without being aligned. You can be active without being effective. God is teaching you to value alignment over speed, direction over noise, obedience over approval. When alignment is secured, progress accelerates naturally. Doors open without force. Opportunities appear without manipulation. Provision flows without panic. Your responsibility in this season is to remain teachable. Pride resists correction. Humility invites instruction. God guides those who listen, not those who insist. When you acknowledge that you do not know everything, you create space for wisdom. When you release the need to control outcomes, you allow God to shape them. Trust is not passive, it is responsive. It listens, adjusts, and obeys. You are being prepared for moments that will require decisive action. Moments where hesitation will cost opportunity. Moments where courage will outweigh comfort. Moments where obedience will require sacrifice. God does not throw you into these moments unprepared. He trains you through smaller decisions, quieter obediences, private disciplines. What you practice now determines how you perform later. Pay attention to what God is emphasizing repeatedly. Repetition is not redundancy, it is importance. When a lesson appears again, it is because mastery is required. God does not move you forward with unfinished foundations. He ensures stability before elevation, strength before visibility, clarity before expansion. This is a season to strengthen your inner life. External success without internal stability creates collapse. God builds from the inside outward. He stabilizes your thoughts. He refines your motives. He strengthens your values. So when increase comes, it does not distort you. It reveals you. You will soon realize that what you once prayed for required more growth than you expected. And you will be grateful God took the time to prepare you. You will understand that the waiting preserved you, that the pressure refined you, that the delay protected you, and that the alignment positioned you. Remain faithful in what seems small. Remain consistent when recognition is absent. Remain obedient when reward is delayed. These moments carry weight far beyond what they appear. God sees what others overlook. He honors what others dismiss. He rewards what others ignore. The jackpot is not just arriving, it is forming you. And when it manifests, it will not surprise you. It will confirm what God has been doing within you all along. There comes a point in every journey where God stops explaining and starts expecting. Not because He is distant, but because you are ready. Explanation builds understanding, but expectation builds authority. When God expects more from you, it is a sign that your capacity has grown. He is no longer treating you as someone who needs to be convinced, but as someone who needs to be entrusted. And trust from God is not light. It is weighty, meaningful, and powerful. Many people ask why certain instructions feel challenging right now. It is because obedience at this level is no longer about avoiding mistakes. It is about activating momentum. At early stages, obedience protects you. At higher stages, obedience propels you. God is not merely keeping you from harm anymore. He is positioning you for impact. That requires precision. That requires sensitivity. That requires courage. God is teaching you to recognize His guidance, even when it does not come with emotional reassurance. Sometimes direction comes with peace. Sometimes it comes with resolve. Sometimes it comes with an unshakable conviction that settles deeper than feeling. You are learning to move not by emotional comfort, but by spiritual certainty. This is a shift from dependence to partnership. God leads and you respond with trust. There are blessings that only unlock when you move first, not recklessly, not blindly, but faithfully. Motion activates alignment. Stillness has a purpose, but prolonged hesitation delays manifestation. God does not guide parked vessels, He guides moving ones. Even small steps in the right direction carry weight when taken in obedience. You do not need to run ahead. You need to stay responsive. Your environment is also being recalibrated. God often changes surroundings to match seasons. Old environments cannot sustain new assignments. Familiar spaces sometimes limit unfamiliar growth. If certain places, patterns, or people no longer fit, it is not rejection, it is transition. God adjusts your surroundings to support your expansion, not to punish your past. This season requires discernment more than enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is loud, but discernment is accurate. God values accuracy over excitement. Many opportunities will look good, but will not be aligned. Many paths will promise speed, but lack sustainability. Discernment allows you to say no without guilt and yes without fear. It protects your energy, your focus, and your assignment. You are learning that discipline is not restriction, it is freedom. Discipline removes chaos. It creates clarity. It builds momentum. God often blesses discipline patterns because they can sustain increase. When your habits align with your prayers, acceleration follows. When your daily actions reflect your long-term vision, progress becomes inevitable. God is also reshaping how you view opposition. Opposition is not always a sign you are off track. Often, it is confirmation you are advancing. Resistance intensifies when progress threatens old limitations. Do not internalize opposition as failure. Use it as feedback. It reveals where growth is happening. It exposes areas of influence that are expanding. You are developing resilience, not hardness. Resilience bends without breaking. It adapts without compromising. It remains steady under pressure. God is strengthening your resilience so you can move forward without becoming bitter, guarded, or inactive. Sensitivity does not disappear with strength. It becomes refined. You learn to feel deeply without being destabilized. There is also a call to stewardship in this season. Stewardship is not only about resources, it is about attention, time, energy, and influence. God entrusts more to those who manage well what they already have. How you handle today determines how much tomorrow can contain. Faithfulness is not measured by visibility, but by consistency. You are stepping into a phase where integrity matters more than image. Image attracts attention, but integrity sustains trust. God prioritizes what lasts over what impresses. He is building a foundation that can carry pressure, scrutiny, and responsibility without collapse. That kind of strength is developed, not gifted. Some of the quiet choices you are making now will echo loudly later. Decisions no one applauds, disciplines no one notices, sacrifices no one understands. God records them all. Nothing aligned is wasted, nothing faithful is forgotten, nothing obedient is ignored. What feels unseen is being stored as momentum. You are also learning that rest is not weakness, it is strategy. God does not glorify burnout. He values sustainability. Rest sharpens clarity. It preserves strength. It keeps perspective intact. When you rest in alignment, you return stronger, not slower. Pace matters when the journey is long and the assignment is significant. Your inner dialogue is being refined. God is teaching you to speak with authority over your own thoughts. Not every thought deserves agreement. Not every emotion deserves obedience. You are learning to choose truth over impulse, conviction over reaction. This mental alignment is critical for the level you are entering. There will be moments ahead that test your consistency. Not dramatic tests, but subtle ones. Small compromises, quiet shortcuts, convenient excuses. These are the moments that define character. God watches how you respond when no one else is involved. Integrity in private sustains authority in public. You are being positioned to influence outcomes, not just react to them. Influence requires clarity. It requires restraint. It requires wisdom. God is preparing you to speak at the right time, act at the right moment, and remain silent when silence is more powerful than words. This level of discernment takes time to develop. The jackpot you are approaching is layered. It unfolds in stages. First comes internal alignment, then external confirmation, then sustained expansion. Skipping stages creates instability. God's order protects the blessing. What arrives through alignment remains through discipline. Do not rush the unfolding. Trust the sequence. God's timing is not slow, it is accurate. Every step is measured. Every delay is intentional. Every opening is precise. When it unfolds, it will feel natural, not forced. Clear, not chaotic. Stable, not fragile. You are being trained to remain grounded when momentum increases. Momentum can lift or destabilize depending on your foundation. God is reinforcing your foundation so that speed does not replace wisdom and success does not replace obedience. Stay attentive, stay receptive, stay faithful. You are not chasing the jackpot. It is aligning with you as you align with God. And when it fully manifests, it will not only change what you have, but it will confirm who you have become. There is a refining happening in how you respond to pressure. In earlier seasons, pressure may have caused you to react, to rush, to defend, to explain. But now God is teaching you restraint. Restraint is not weakness, it is mastery. When you can remain composed while everything around you demands reaction, you demonstrate inner authority. God entrusts influence to those who are not controlled by impulse. Calm under pressure is a sign of maturity, and maturity attracts responsibility. You are also being taught the power of silence. Silence is not absence of strength, it is evidence of confidence. When you know God is directing your steps, you do not need to prove yourself to every voice. Not every accusation requires a response. Not every misunderstanding needs clarification. Some battles are won by restraint, not resistance. God fights in ways you cannot always see, and often his defense is revealed over time, not instantly. This season sharpens your discernment between urgency and importance. Urgency shouts, importance whispers, urgency pushes you to act now, importance asks you to wait for alignment. God is not rushed, he is deliberate. When you learn to distinguish between what feels urgent and what is truly important, your decisions become wiser, your energy becomes focused, and your progress becomes sustainable. God is also adjusting your relationship with results. Results are important, but they are not the source of your identity. Identity rooted in outcomes becomes unstable. Identity rooted in God remains steady regardless of fluctuation. When you are grounded in who you are under God's authority, success does not inflate you and setbacks do not destroy you. This stability is essential for long-term impact. You are entering a phase where responsibility increases quietly before visibility does. God often gives responsibility before recognition. He watches how you manage weight before he adds spotlight. Responsibility without applause builds humility. It anchors you. It reminds you that purpose is not about being seen, but about being effective. When recognition eventually comes, it finds you grounded, not dependent on validation. There is also a refinement in how you perceive time. Time is not your enemy, it is a tool God uses to mature intention. Rushed success often lacks roots. Patient preparation builds endurance. God uses time to filter motives, to strengthen discipline, to remove shortcuts that would later compromise stability. What takes longer to build often lasts longer once established. You are being trained to operate with integrity even when compromise would be easier. Integrity is not tested when the right choice is obvious. It is tested when convenience tempts you to bend. God watches those moments closely. Integrity protects what success exposes. Without integrity, increase becomes dangerous. With integrity, increase becomes impactful. This is also a season of sharpening your spiritual awareness. Awareness is not mystical confusion, it is clarity. It is the ability to sense when something is aligned and when it is not. God speaks through peace, through conviction, through wisdom that settles deeply. You are learning to trust that inner clarity more than external noise. This sensitivity will guide you when decisions become complex. God is strengthening your ability to remain consistent when motivation fluctuates. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is intentional. God builds discipline because it sustains movement when feelings change. When discipline is established, progress continues regardless of mood. This consistency is what carries people through long journeys and heavy assignments. You are also learning that not every closed door is opposition. Some doors close because the season has ended. Holding on to expired doors drains energy meant for new paths. God closes doors not to trap you, but to redirect you. When you release what no longer serves your assignment, you create space for what does. Your understanding of provision is also deepening. Provision is not only about accumulation, it is about sufficiency, timing, and purpose. God provides what is needed for each season. Sometimes provision looks like increase, sometimes it looks like restraint. Both are forms of care. Both are intentional. When you trust God as your source, fear loses its grip. You are learning to manage expectations, yours and others. Expectations can inspire or burden. God teaches you to set expectations based on alignment, not pressure. You do not owe everyone access to your energy. Boundaries are not rejection, they are stewardship. Protecting your focus protects your assignment. This season also reveals the importance of gratitude. Gratitude anchors you in awareness of what God has already done. It prevents entitlement. It preserves humility. Gratitude shifts your attention from what is missing to what is forming. A grateful heart remains open, teachable, and resilient. God is refining your vision so it becomes clearer and more focused. Clarity eliminates distraction. Focus multiplies. Effectiveness. When your vision aligns with God's direction, decisions become simpler. Not easier, but clearer. You know what to pursue and what to release. You recognize what deserves your attention and what does not. You are being prepared to lead, not necessarily by title, but by example. Leadership begins with self-governance. How you manage your thoughts, habits, and reactions sets the tone for your influence. God entrusts leadership to those who can lead themselves with discipline and humility. There will be moments ahead where progress feels slow again. Do not misinterpret them. Plateaus are often integration phases. God allows space for what you have learned to settle, to stabilize, to become part of who you are. Integration prevents collapse when momentum increases again. You are learning that obedience sometimes feels costly in the short term, but rewarding in the long term. Sacrifice is not loss when it aligns with purpose. What you release in obedience creates room for what cannot arrive otherwise. God never asks for release without preparation for replacement. Your capacity for patience is expanding. Patience is not passive waiting, it is active trust. It is choosing alignment even when results are delayed. Patience builds endurance. Endurance builds credibility. Credibility sustains influence. God is shaping you into someone who can carry blessing without losing balance. Balance does not mean equal attention to everything. It means intentional focus on what matters most. Balance preserves clarity. It keeps success from becoming a distraction rather than a tool. You are closer than before, not because circumstances look perfect, but because alignment is deepening. Internal order precedes external breakthrough. When order is established within, movement accelerates without chaos. Stay grounded, stay responsive, stay obedient. The unfolding continues. The preparation remains purposeful. The direction remains steady. God is not finished shaping, aligning, and strengthening you for what is ahead. And as the process continues, what once felt distant is steadily becoming inevitable. There is also a recalibration happening in how you understand power. Power is not volume. It is not force. It is not dominance. True power is alignment with God's will and the courage to act on it without compromise. Power is the ability to stand firm when pressure invites you to bend. It is the strength to remain faithful when shortcuts promise speed. God entrusts power to those who understand that authority flows from obedience, not ego. You are being taught to value substance over spectacle. Spectacle attracts attention, but substance sustains impact. God is not interested in temporary excitement. He is committed to lasting transformation. He builds depth before display. He strengthens roots before allowing branches to spread wide. When substance is secure, visibility becomes safe. Without substance, visibility becomes dangerous. This season requires spiritual attentiveness. Attentiveness is the ability to notice subtle shifts, quiet warnings, gentle confirmations. God often speaks softly because clarity does not need volume. When your inner world is quiet, guidance becomes clear. When distractions decrease, direction sharpens. That is why God sometimes removes noise, not to isolate you, but to instruct you. You are learning to differentiate between effort and striving. Effort is faithful action aligned with trust. Striving is anxious movement driven by fear. God blesses effort because it cooperates with His timing. Striving resists timing and creates exhaustion. When you move with God, there is exertion without burnout, momentum without panic, progress without chaos. There is also a purification happening in your desires. God refines what you want so that what you receive does not harm you. Some desires were genuine but premature. Some ambitions were sincere but misaligned. God does not shame desire, He shapes it. He redirects hunger so that fulfillment strengthens you instead of distracting you. You are becoming more selective with what you allow into your spirit. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every opinion deserves weight. God is teaching you to guard your inner environment because what enters your mind influences your direction. Protection is not fear, it is wisdom. Focus is not limitation, it is clarity. This is also a season where courage must be practiced quietly. Courage is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes courage looks like consistency when enthusiasm fades. Sometimes it looks like obedience when results are invisible. Sometimes it looks like restraint when reaction feels justified. Quiet courage builds inner strength that loud moments later reveal. God is shaping your understanding of success. Success is not defined by speed, comparison, or applause. It is defined by alignment, obedience, and sustainability. You succeed when you finish what God assigned without losing integrity. You succeed when growth does not cost you peace. You succeed when increase does not distance you from humility. You are also learning to carry unanswered questions without losing trust. Not every question receives immediate explanation. Some answers come with time, perspective, and maturity. God is not threatened by your questions. He simply refuses to be rushed by them. Trust grows when you remain faithful without full understanding. There will be moments ahead where your growth challenges others. Not because you are wrong, but because your alignment exposes their discomfort. Do not allow resistance to make you shrink. Stay respectful, stay grounded, stay obedient. You are not responsible for how others respond to your growth, only for how you steward it. God is preparing you to operate with clarity even when emotions fluctuate. Emotional intelligence is part of spiritual maturity. It allows you to feel deeply without acting impulsively, to acknowledge emotion without surrendering authority to it. God strengthens this capacity because leadership, formal or informal, requires stability. Your perception of value is also shifting. You are learning that value is not determined by visibility, but by faithfulness. God values obedience in hidden places as much as impact in visible ones. The unseen work you do now carries weight far beyond what is immediately measurable. You are becoming comfortable with being misunderstood while remaining aligned. Approval is pleasant, but alignment is essential. God never promised universal understanding, but He always provides sufficient clarity for those who listen. When you choose obedience over popularity, you protect your assignment. This is also a season to refine patience with people. Growth often creates distance between where you are and where others remain. Patience keeps your heart soft. Compassion keeps your spirit accessible. God does not elevate you to separate you from others, but to serve with wisdom and grace. You are learning that momentum does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes momentum feels steady, quiet, almost ordinary. But consistency compounds. Small aligned actions repeated over time create unstoppable progress. God often works through patterns rather than moments. There is also an invitation to deepen gratitude during this phase. Gratitude does not ignore challenges, it acknowledges provision within them. Gratitude sharpens awareness of God's involvement. It keeps your heart open and your spirit responsive. A grateful posture sustains joy even when outcomes are still forming. God is preparing you for clarity that will come suddenly after long preparation. Many breakthroughs feel sudden to observers, but are built slowly beneath the surface. When clarity arrives, it will feel natural, not shocking. It will make sense of the path behind you. You are stepping into a level of trust where obedience becomes instinctive, where discernment becomes sharper, where fear loses influence. This is not because challenges disappear, but because your foundation strengthens. Stay attentive to what God is emphasizing now. Stay faithful in what is required now. Stay grounded in humility now. The process continues to unfold with purpose, precision, and care. God is not rushing. He is not delaying. He is aligning. And as alignment deepens, what once seemed distant continues moving closer, not through our force, not through haste, but through steady, deliberate preparation, under the authority and guidance of God alone. Now understand this with clarity and calm confidence. Nothing in your journey has been accidental. Every delay refined you. Every closed door redirected you. Every season of silence strengthened your discernment. God has been working with precision far beyond what you could measure, shaping not just your future, but your capacity to sustain it. What is coming is not fragile, not rushed, not random. It is ordered, deliberate, and aligned with who you have become through obedience. You are standing at a threshold where preparation meets release, not release without responsibility, not increase without wisdom, not elevation without grounding. God does not promote confusion, He promotes alignment. And alignment is now evident in how you think, how you choose, how you wait, and how you move. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding with discernment. That is readiness. Carry this certainty with you. God is faithful to complete what He prepares. He does not awaken hunger without provision. He does not stretch capacity without intention. He does not require obedience without purpose. What unfolds next will not need your panic, your striving, or your fear. It will require your steadiness, your humility, and your continued trust. Remain anchored, remain attentive, remain faithful. The path ahead does not require perfection, only alignment. And as you continue forward, you will recognize that what you once called waiting was actually becoming. What you once called pressure was strengthening. And what you once called distance was precise timing. God has brought you this far with intention. And He will carry you forward with the same authority, the same wisdom, and the same faithfulness that has guided every step until now.